How to exceed expectations. One of the most common questions that the current cabin crew are asking me. If you're someone who's waiting to join the airline, we all know that it's going to take some time, but this video is going to be a great source of information on how you can exceed the expectations once you start flying, when you will be receiving, or when those in-flight assessments will be conducted on you. And if you're a candidate for the job role called cabin crew, I will talk over here about the three categories where the cabin crew are getting assessed during their flying career. I mean, as a cabin crew in economy class and as a cabin crew in business class. And these three categories are actually the parameters that the recruitment team is guided from, or in these three categories, they're looking for your potential. Make sure to stay tuned until the last minute of this video. My name is Julia George and I used to fly for Qatar Airways for 10 years. When you will be an F1 or F2 crew member that works in economy and business class, there are three categories that you are getting assessed on. The first category is called safety, or you should be working with the standards and procedures, or the so-called SOP, of an airline that has been worldwide recognized as the world's safest airline. The second category is called customer first, or you should be someone who goes beyond the expectations of the customers. And the third category is called brand ambassador, or you should be a cabin crew that is professional and that takes pride in everything you do as a cabin crew within the company that you are, or in this case, we're talking within Qatar Airways. And as I have said, if you're a candidate for the job role called cabin crew, these three categories, the safety category, the customer first, and the brand ambassador category, are actually the parameters in which, as I have said, the recruitment team are looking for your potential and your skills to be in correlation, or to be related with. So I strongly believe that this video is super relevant to you, so make sure to stay tuned until the last minute. Don't forget down to share any of your questions that you have, any of your suggestions. It will be very welcomed for the next video that are coming up in future. All your duties in all these three categories will be very well explained in the assessment form that you will be getting access to. That is why in first place you are getting that cabin crew training that lasts for 2 months while you will be working as a cabin crew. And in all those categories, your duties will be very well clearly written. I'm gonna over here talk about what are the ways that you can exceed your expectations, and once you're recruited as a cabin crew, you don't have to worry about what are the duties that you're supposed to be conducting in terms of safety, in terms of customer first, and in terms of brand ambassador, as you're all going to be trained for that, and you're going to be released to fly once you have passed all those exams that are absolutely not hard exams. I can promise you that the training, the initial training for cabin crew is very, very easy. But in this video, we're going to be talking about how to exceed the expectations, or how all those duties that are well written and well explained in those categories, how you can go beyond them. In the safety category, it is very important that you all the time are observing and reporting any hazards that you think are jeopardizing the safety in the aircraft. And I can give you a small example over here. In the aircraft, we have something called logbook, and your supervisors are mainly the ones who are responsible to fill in that logbook, and they're writing inside what are the defects in the aircraft that they're observing. Now, the supervisors do not have, they only have 2 eyes, they cannot see the entire aircraft. That's why you have your zones, and you are reporting to your supervisors the defects that you're going to see, because those defects can be potential hazards of the safety of yourself and the passengers and the crew members as well. So it is very important that you are constantly observing, and for example, you're seeing that some service cards are not latched properly. You have observed, let's say, the observation window of your jump seat, that it's not clean and clear. And this, I'm talking about this on ground, because if you observe that your window on your door that is assigned to you, it's not clean and clear, then you're going to report this, of course, after landing. During the flight, you won't have anyone to come and assist you in this manner. Anything related to your jump seat, so anything that you see and it's basically being broken, you have to be constantly reporting to your supervisors. That means that you have been proactive and you have been reporting all those hazards, and actually you're working on something called prevention, which is what in terms of safety every airline is striving for. And at any point of time you think that something can be done better than it is, you should always speak to your supervisor and give your suggestions. Perhaps you think that the location of the oxygen bottle should be instead of the left side on the right side, because you have a valid reason for whatever suggestion in terms of safety you're gonna have. You should have a valid reason why you think that, why you are recommending that safety procedure. It is very important. Why? Because if you just keep on suggesting things that they don't make sense, it's not gonna look so professional, and it won't necessarily mean that you have taken the time to analyze things, but you're just saying it for the sake of saying it. So if you have any recommendations in terms of how safety can be put up on a higher level, please do that, and I'm sure that your supervisor and the management will appreciate that. Be an influencer. I used to love cabin crew that are influencing the safety culture, not only during the assessments, but I used to love when I see that the cabin crew are latching the compartments, when I see that the cabin crew, whatever they're doing, if they're galley operator, they would say to the rest of the crew, you know, ladies and gentlemen, could you please ensure that the galley has been latched and secured at all points of time? Could you please ensure that you don't throw unnecessarily things in the trash compactor, and so on and so forth. So it is very important that whatever is a safety procedure you are, and if you observe that the rest of the crew members are doing something wrong, you're highlighting to them. But be very careful when you will be highlighting things to your crew members, your colleagues. You have to actually be soft. You have to know how to speak. Do not behave like you're their supervisor. Behave like you're their colleague and you're their friend and you're actually helping them. This is going to be also highly appreciated. Of course, who doesn't appreciate more open communication than your supervisors? Whatever has happened in your zone, safety related. Let's say sometimes you can have a passenger who can have problems with the seatbelt. You have to report this to your supervisors. Safety related things, especially safety related things, but over here I'm highlighting everything. Service safety, you have to keep an open communication. I used to love the cabin crew that are having valid points to share with me, because most of the time the cabin crew will come and say, just to let you know, my zone, everything is okay. Well, that's understandable because I have been walking around, but definitely I appreciate it. But when you will be having those assessments, it's very important that you are particular and you report to your supervisors whatever has been happening on board the aircraft. Not because only it's your assessment, but it means that you have been observant, and this is a way of how, in terms of safety, you can go beyond the expectations of whatever you have been doing. In terms of customer service, of course, going beyond the expectations of the customers is talking to the customers, interacting with them, knowing your customers by their names. You will be having your frequent flyers, your special handling customers. It is very important that you know what are their names. You have written down the special meals for the customers that have requested special meals. Another important point over here is, please, whatever you will have as service items, do offer it. Your supervisors will be listening the way you are doing the service. They will look like they're unintentionally passing next to you, or you might be even, in most of the cases, you will be working next to your supervisor, so your supervisor will be observing how you are doing the service. So it is very important that you offer all the products to the customers. Instead of just saying, ma'am, sir, what would you like to drink? You're just actually giving the entire variety of drinks. And if you want to go beyond the expectations, then you can say, may I offer you an alcoholic or a non-alcoholic drinks? These are the things that require a little bit of more dedication. They require a little bit of a second more to interact with the passengers, but they will be highly appreciated by your supervisors. And of course, over here, I'm going to mention the customer compliments. Make sure to nail that first impression with the customers on board the aircraft. Make sure when you will be welcoming your customers and when you will be interacting with them, make sure you make that long-lasting moments that later on, when your supervisor will go and, let's say thank you to the special handling customers in your zone, to the frequent flyers, and to the random passengers, in order to gather feedback for how was the service and how the passenger will be feeling. Those long-lasting moments will be turned into compliments for you, and you are going to be exceeding expectations. Something very, very important I would like to mention over here. There will be customer complaints, and do not be afraid when you will be getting customer complaints if it's your assessment day, because that is an excellent opportunity for you to actually adopt the tailoring measurements. Perhaps your supervisor will give you a suggestion, or if you can come up with a tailoring suggestion from your side, it will be so amazing. But prior to tailoring the service for a customer, for a service recovery during a customer complaint, complaint, make sure you speak to your supervisor and get the feedback that you are, or the confirmation that you are allowed to do that. And if you are actually able to turn that customer complaint into a compliment, that means you have nailed that, you have created a long-lasting moment. That customer will definitely appreciate it. Now, this is how you can also exceed the expectations, and this is going to be highly appreciated by your manager and of course by the supervisor who's conducting your assessment on board the aircraft. Exceeding the expectations as a brand ambassador, of course, it will be very easy. You should show that you are excellent teamwork player. That means you're always there to help your team, to help your colleagues without even being asked for help. Prior to that, please ensure that you have done your the service in your zone. You make sure that your customers are happy and satisfied whenever you go to assist any of your colleagues. I think that this is the category where I was giving the most exceeding expectations to my crew members. I was literally observing 99.9% of the time when I was flying with the crew members and I was conducting their assessments on board the aircrafts. I'm proudly saying this. I was observing that the crew members are really, really excellent when it comes to teamwork. All the compliments over here, because I have been observing only the Qatar Airways cabin crew, because I flew for Qatar Airways for 10 years. I would like to congratulate to all the Qatar Airways cabin crew. Please keep up the good work. I know that that teamwork culture is still out there, and it's actually absolutely amazing to, whenever we speak and we mention the crew members from Qatar Airways, we all think of that excellent teamwork. So please keep up the good work. You can exceed expectations over here if you show up to your supervisor in a random conversation that you are actually someone who's interested in career growth, and perhaps you are an F2 crew member that cannot wait to work in a business class or to be a supervisor. You are actually, in this case, what I would like to say, you don't just sit with your supervisor and you're saying, no, I cannot wait to become a F1 or to become a CS. Just find a way to explain how you would like to participate in that career growth. At least with me, it was, I wouldn't say a little bit difficult, but I know when somebody's saying it just for the sake of saying it, and I know when somebody really means it. When you want to say that you want to be an in-flight supervisor, tell to your supervisor the things that you have learned from him or from her, that tomorrow when you will be a supervisor, you're going to implement them. This is an excellent way to show an interest for a career growth, rather than just sitting and saying, you know what, I'm going to be a CS because I really like the scarf and I really like the color of the uniform. And a good brand ambassador is always minimizing wastage. Simple ways for minimizing wastage are whatever has not been used on the car top, you just put it back and you nicely stow it. That means the sugar tubes, the creamers, and the stuff like that, sweet and lows, Tabasco sauce, ketchup. There is endless magic box on board the aircraft. Everything you stow it nicely to ensure that the next crew, if they're taking over the aircraft, or perhaps when you're landing into Doha, your galley, if you're a galley operator, and if you're not a galley operator, you equally have to participate. If you want to exceed the expectations, you would like to minimize that wastage and to ensure that everything is back in the proper location.
Suggestion: in order to manage that wastage properly, any food that hasn't been used during any of the meal services, you can suggest to your supervisors that would be nice to be given to the customers during the time that they would be coming, for example, to stretch in the galley, when you will be patrolling the cabin and interacting with them, etc. This will prevent the food to be wasted, and it will definitely increase the level of satisfaction to many customers that perhaps were hesitant to ask for more food.
What I would like to say over here is please take the time to understand what are your expectations as a cabin crew. As I have said at the beginning, you're going to be having an access to the assessment form, but you're also going to be having your managers, your personal performance manager. Do not limit your connection with your personal performance manager. What I would like to say, your onboard assessments, the way how you can exceed the expectations, your performance manager, your instructors, they are great people to get those informations on how you can do that, how you can become better. Because on the first assessment, we're all actually good. Some of us are excellent, but on my first assessment, I was just good. And then it was the progress of getting better and better and better. So whenever you will be having an assessment on board the aircraft with the supervisor, always make an appointment with your performance manager and speak about it. If you're someone who's really interested in career growth, seek for ways how you can exceed those expectations and suggestions from your performance manager. And also over here, you can seek the knowledge and experience of your supervisors. They are equally highly trained people who know about in-flight performance of the cabin crew, as well as your senior cabin crew that have been in the work position as you are for some time. They're also going to be the one who can give you suggestions. So do not underestimate the power of anyone. Listen, and I'm sure that you're gonna gather so many informations that will help you in your future career growth. And I'm gonna end this video to give you my tips on how you can exceed the expectations. These are my own personal tips and tricks, which are work related, but they're more related to your personality. I strongly believe that applying the previous tips and tricks that I have told you, which are coming from my work experience with Qatar Airways, but these are coming from my personal work experience, and I would say I have developed it for myself. I believe that all of them together can secure you a fast career growth and exceeding expectations that you so much want. And in the assessment form, somewhere it's going to be written positive attitude, but positive attitude is really something that will drive the entire picture about yourself. From my side, from a leader's point of view, from a supervisor point of view, I know about somebody's attitude the moment I see them. So it is very, very important that your positive attitude is something that you have. It's a must-have. In case you're lacking of that positive attitude, perhaps you should think of coaching ways to get some coach, to get some ideas more, to get some knowledge. But since you have gotten the job as a cabin crew, I strongly believe that positive attitude is something that you possess. And if you have been recruited, if you already have that positive attitude, please nurture that positive attitude and take care of that positive attitude. It's really important. From the moment you step out from your accommodation, as you're entering the bus, perhaps your colleagues that you're flying with will be with you in the bus. Perhaps your supervisor that is doing the assessment for you will be in the bus. I'm not saying you never know, but I'm saying positive attitude will certainly bring things on another level, and you're actually going to be someone that people will enjoy being surrounded with, and your supervisor will be observing that. To me, it is very important the cabin crew to be self-motivated. No matter what will be the motivation, irrespective it's the uniform, it's the salary, it's the destination you're going. Self-motivated cabin crew, to me, I would like to say is they were actually doing the job a little faster than the rest of the crew members. I could see the passion they were having in doing things. I could see the way they were behaving. It is connected to the positive attitude, but believe it or not, the motivation is something that determines the way you are working, and it reflects your entire glow and your entire interaction with your supervisor and with the crew members. And to me, as a criminologist by profession, it was super easy from the briefing itself to know who is highly self-motivated and unfortunately who is not. But that was a task for me. Whenever I would see that the crew members were not self-motivated, I was always looking for a way to approach and to give that pinch and to perhaps help in that motivation, because that motivation is something that you really need to have if you want to stay and work as a cabin crew. You will be seeing over here on the internet people having their amazing YouTube channels and talking about the cabin crew job and from their experience, and at the end of everything they will say, according to my personal experience, cabin crew job, it's not a healthy job, so you should be there for 1 or 2 years. That's fine, as long as you stay those 1 year in the company or 2 years and you are on the self-motivated level from day one until the last day, that's fine. But please do not stay in the cabin crew role if you don't possess the self-motivation, because certainly it's going to be a struggle, first of all for you, and then later on for the people that will fly with you. Differentiate yourself, or perhaps find something that you are different at. What do I mean by saying this? We're all cabin crew, we all have the excellent grooming, we're all doing the service excellent, we're all welcoming the passengers on board the aircraft when it comes to using the standards of how it's supposed to be done from the heart, smiling and everything. But when I'm saying differentiate yourself over here, I'm gonna give you an example of mine. My way of being different from the rest of the cabin crew and what I was striving for was, and I think that I did a good job in this. You can take this example if you would like to, but only if you think that it belongs to your self-motivation. If it doesn't belong to your self-motivation, please don't do it. But I always want to be somewhere before time. I'm a person that if I arrive somewhere at the time, I'm gonna feel a little bit more stressed. So wherever I go, irrespective was from the school or I have an appointment somewhere, I always make sure I arrive before time. So I was always reporting for every flight before time. It was happening so many times that I'm actually before the supervisor arrives. I'm in the briefing room and I'm waiting. If we have a checker, for me it was irrespective if we have a checker who's checking the flight or we just have the supervisors. But believe it or not, I used to get so many compliments from the checkers, from performance officers that were doing check flights on board the flight, and from the supervisors, as I was well prepared cabin crew before even they arrived. And actually many of them were literally amazed and were surprised that and later on, what I would like to say is not just to be before the briefing starts in the briefing room itself. Whatever I set up as a standard to be different from the rest of the cabin crew, I was making sure that I present that on board the aircraft. I will be faster with the service, let's say. I will be faster in attending the call bells, even it's not my zone. So I am reporting before on the flight before the supervisors do, because I always used to take the pickup that it's earlier, or when I got the car, I drove earlier, so I'll have enough time to have my coffee, chit chat a little bit in the briefing office, because as senior as I become, I used to have friends that are working in the briefing office, so I needed that positive vibes and that smile to share a little bit before every flight and before the briefing starts. So that is one of the things that I found how to be different than the rest of the people in a good way. But I strongly believe, as I said, that we are all unique at something. We just have to look what is that thing, and we just have to keep on working on that and adopt and do the thing that that is in coloration with your self-motivation, and that is reflecting you. Because no matter how much you're going to present yourself as a different and equally professional cabin crew, still if you the entire flight you don't reflect that, that's not going to be working towards the exceeding expectations from you as a cabin crew. You must love what you do. Without loving what you do, and this is connected with the self-motivation that I spoke about, the entire work experience as a cabin crew will not be a pleasant experience for you. And the motivation should start from the beginning, and it should be there, of course, until the end of your career, until you decide that flying is enough for you. Perhaps you want to change department, but you should be sticking to that motivation that's going to drive you, because losing the motivation somewhere down the line will definitely give you lots of struggle within yourself, as I said, but at the same time with your work. There is a huge difference when I was flying with cabin crew that loved their job and I was flying with cabin crew that didn't love their job. Both groups, I would say, were equally doing their job. They were performing their job, but those long-lasting moments were actually a piece of cake for the ones who loved the job, and for the ones who didn't love the job, it was kind of struggle. They were still doing their best. Many of them are still out there working for the only motivation, which is called the salary, and until reaching the salary, the self-motivation complex is a bit absent, and we all know and we all can observe that. Nevertheless, if you see somebody who is not motivated enough, and if you see somebody that doesn't love the job, instead of sitting and judging those people, try to help them. This is what I was striving for when I was a cabin crew, since I was a cabin crew until I was a supervisor, and even now on my YouTube channel. If you're someone that doesn't love your job and you know somebody actually that doesn't love your job, try to help them. That is how you're going to be more successful, and that person perhaps would appreciate, might not have to appreciate. We don't care. At the end of the day, it's about how we feel. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to click subscribe, hit that notification button for the many videos that are coming. Until then, bye bye and have a nice day.